Hello, you beautiful souls. Welcome to Harness the Shift podcast. This is a space where we explore personal transformation, conscious leadership, and the journeys of people who are doing the inner work and bringing that awareness into how they live, lead, and serve. I am your host, Jay. All right, let's see who's joining us today. Hello, you beautiful souls. Welcome to Harness the Shift podcast. My name is Jay. I am your host. On today's episode, I'm sitting down with Julieta Duvall, host of the Unschooling Lifestyle podcast, where she explores alternative approaches to education, parenting, and learning beyond traditional systems. Her work focuses on unschooling as a lived philosophy centered around curiosity, autonomy, and supporting children in learning through real life rather than structured schooling models. Today, we're diving into her journey, what led her into unschooling, and the deeper conversation around learning, conditioning, and freedom. And we're also going to touch a little bit on human design. So let's get into it. Hello, you beautiful souls. Welcome to Harness the Shift. Today I'm joined by Julieta Duvall from Clawson, Michigan. Hello, Julieta. How have you been since I talked to you last?
Hi, Jay. I have been great. Yeah, just kind of hanging out at home, recovering from our trip to Greece, which was a huge learning experience. So I'm really happy to be here. Thank you so much.
Well, I'm so excited to hear about this trip. So do tell.
Yeah, the boys and I decided to go. So we had planned this trip back in September. So we decided to go. We couldn't go back in September, so we postponed the trip. But this trip was a huge learning curve for me to like hone my planning process because we went there and there was a holiday. It was winter. I was by myself, and it really showed me again the beauty that comes with traveling and how much learning happens when you just you're just doing it, right? We learned so much. I learned so much, but I also learned how fragile my nervous system still is and how much work I still have to do in a good way. I think both my husband and I had an incredible experience not being together on this trip. It was a learning experience for both of us that maybe wouldn't have happened if we had been together. So this trip is going down as a transportation trip, as most of my budget and my time, actually, we spend on trains, airplanes, boats, automobiles. I mean, you name it. We were in all kinds of transportation. So we learned so much.
That's amazing.
Yeah. So we're back and just taking a little break, enjoying the beginning of spring here in Michigan. So we're starting to look more into our yard, into our garden, and our summer is really short, so our planting season is also shorter. So it's just kind of getting back into the routine of being home here.
Getting back into the groove. You know how that is. I mean, I think that's like with any trip that you take, but especially one that's like overseas. It makes it a little bit challenging, you know?
Yeah.
So, Julieta, before we begin, I want to acknowledge you and the work that you do. I am genuinely grateful that you chose to be here today.
Oh,
You did not have to say yes, and I'm so glad that you did. And I
me
just want
too.
to honor you and what it is that you do, and for the people that you serve every day. So thank you so much. And
Thank you.
so people will understand about the whole comment you made about transportation when we get into it. But I just want to kind of go back to the beginning.
Yeah.
And so let's talk a little bit about Julieta and how you got to where you are today. How did you grow up, and how did it shape your early views on learning in life?
Oh my goodness, it's such a great question. It's such a deep one, but I'll try to keep it short
Yeah, it
here.
is. I go deep sometimes.
Yeah, no, I love that. I absolutely love that. So to give you some context, so I grew up in Mexico,
Yeah.
and I'm the oldest one of three. So my parents had me when my mom was, they were both really young. My mom was barely 21. My dad was 25. And as my mom grew up in a very poor household, my mom was part of a hurricane at some point that flooded my grandfather's like farm. They had a little farm. They had chickens and they had a dirt floor in their house, so This hurricane flooded their house and pushed my grandfather to move into another city, which is where I grew up. But fast forward to when my mom became a parent, her idea of being a parent was to make sure that we had an education. We went to private school, we went to Catholic private school, and I've always been a good student. I learned really well from mentors, but I also learned early on what I needed to do in order to please everyone. In order to keep my parents happy was that I needed good grades. So kind of like I work in order to receive the grades because that's how I got recognition as a person because I was a good student. So I went through it, then graduated from high school. In Mexico, you go into like law school or med school right off the bat. You don't have to go to undergrad. So I did my first year of law school in Mexico.
Wow.
And then I moved to the States just shortly before finishing up that first year. And then I didn't go back to college until, I had to work. I was working and, I began in the airline industry. This was 2005, or I began in the industry 2004. So 2005, I became a flight attendant. I was in the industry, I was working, flying. And then 2014, that's when my oldest son is born. And at that point, I go back to education to see this as a way out of the industry where I was at because I was already like at the top of the pay scale. So in my mind, I felt that I couldn't make the equivalent income outside of the airline industry without a degree, right? So here I have this conditioning that without the degree, I am not able or I am not eligible to receive more or the equal compensation that I do as working as a flight attendant. So it was huge because in 2014, my son is born in January 2014. I go back to undergrad May 2014. So I go straight in full force because I've always loved being a student. I love learning. So this time around, I wasn't going to law school. It was not in my nature. But I went into history, into literature, which is my first love. Writing and reading are my first love. So I went into it and I was very focused on that goal. So it's 2014 all the way through 2019, which is right before COVID. I graduated from the University of Michigan December 2019.
Wow.
And yeah, it was crazy.
You
The
and
goal,
them, go Wolverines.
go blue. Yes, absolutely.
Go blue.
I had the most fantastic time. I had fantastic professors, my support system, my husband, my parents, my children. At that point, I went to school pregnant. The last semester I had a newborn. I mean, it was wild. I mean, people still ask me how you did. I'm like, honestly, I have no idea. But without my support system, my husband and my parents, I wouldn't have been able to do it. So 2019, I get an acceptance letter to go into a master's program of accounting at the University of Michigan as well. So this is the Ross School of Business. And 2019, December, we start hearing about COVID, right? And my passengers start asking me, like, are you afraid of the germs? I'm like, well, I've always been on an airplane. But I start feeling, I know there's a shift coming per se, because I know that I graduated from the University of Michigan. It was a huge accomplishment, but it came at a cost. It came at a cost of time with my son. It came at a cost of time with my partner. It came at a cost of growing as a family together. Also, my dad was sick during that time, so it was a lot. To make the decision to go into the master's program in August, it was something that I had to think about. I'm like, is this really where I want to go? And COVID starts making its way. And right around the end of January, February, it begins to ramp up, right? My son is about to transition from the Montessori setup that he was at into a full-time private school for first grade in September 2020. So we end up then March 13, the school shuts down, the state of Michigan shuts down everything, and everyone goes online. So here I am with my son. I'm at the University of Michigan taking only one class. I was taking only one class at that point, which is advanced. I needed one more advanced financial accounting class. And right before March, I was like, I can't do this anymore. Like, this isn't, I'm not going to go working 80 hours a week during tax season for something that it just doesn't, it didn't feel real at that point. So I was like, I can't do that. So I canceled the class. I withdrew from the class, got my money back. There's that time where you can cancel or whatever. So, and we concentrated on this online learning. And then I'm like, okay, this is not okay. I was like, this is not okay. At that point, I had attended every single in-person class for my undergraduate career. I went to every single class. There was no online learning, prior to that.
Right.
Yeah, it was, so we started doing that. And then the state of Michigan was kind of like back and forth a little bit between yes, mask, no mask, this, yes, this, no, that. No one knew what was happening. And I was like, it was okay for people not to know. I just knew that for us, I couldn't be in the middle of that. So we decided to start homeschooling. My husband and I, we just talked about it. It was a hard conversation for us because we weren't on the same page. And we said, let's just try it for a year. And we did. And 5 years later, we are still here working it
Still
out.
rocking and rolling.
Yes.
I love it. Yeah, that whole thing was it not just, I think a lot of folks still kind of have PTSD from it.
Absolutely. Yep, absolutely.
It just created, oh, I'm getting chills. Like, it created this separation of us, which I really understand now. Like, I understand the whole 6 feet apart. It's all energetic, right? It's all,
yes, it's all energetic.
Everything is spiritual. It's all spiritual what's going on. But I think it also, the good that came from it is that people really started to really step in. Like, they're like, you know what? No. Like, it's not man who says that I'm free. It's my creator that says that I'm free.
Yep, absolutely.
And my intuition is telling me something different than what's going on the news. So
absolutely, yes.
Yeah, it was very bizarre time, very bizarre.
Mm-hmm.
So you started homeschooling, right?
Yeah.
And so now it's evolved into this. You have a podcast, the Unschooling podcast, and you speak about unschooling as more than education. It's a lifestyle. And what does that actually look like day to day for a family?
It looks very different. So the way when I started doing the homeschooling, like I was like I went into this natural way of doing school at home because I grew up in Mexico. I mean, hardly anybody homeschools in Mexico. It's not something that I was familiar with. Just spirit, the universe, through the world, homeschool at me sometime in 2019. This is before COVID, but when I told my husband that, I'm like, maybe we should homeschool. He's like, no, absolutely not. I was like, okay. So then COVID came and it kind of gave us the opportunity. But then I went into this idea of fitting what I thought homeschooling was into our life. And our life has always been very fluid because of my work. So I would be home for 3 days, but I would be tired, the first day when coming back from a trip. So I needed more rest. Some days were more active. So, and then in starting to do this curriculum, like very rigid, it didn't fit into our life. So I'm like, well, how can I make this happen? How can I make this work? And then unschooling showed up. And the way I define it now is just living in partnership with your children. And what that means for me is that at the beginning of it, I was worried completely, fully about the needs of my children and ignoring my own. And that came back to bite me in the butt because I needed to take care of myself in order to hold space for this way of self-directed education, for experiments, for road trips. Like if I was on a good place, I couldn't do that. So as I define now, the unschooling lifestyle, it's a partnership-based life where your needs as a parent, my needs as a parent, just as the ones of my husband, are equally important as the ones of my kids. And that takes a little bit of you are your own machinery, you're your own machine that works differently. Like for example, for me, doing podcasts and doing my work in the morning is extremely important because I know that by like 10 or 11, if I do a couple hours of work, I am fully satisfied as a creative person to be able to hang out with my kids and do the things and go to the parks. But if I lose creative time for a couple of days, you can tell, you betcha, I'm not going to be an okay person. Like I start getting like more moody. I start getting more like, I don't want to say snappy, but I feel like my patience and my ability to hold space is not as big. So it was hard for me to learn that because that's not the way I grew up. I grew
Yeah.
up with the example that my mom sacrificed herself her whole life. So I thought that was the way, that's what parenting was to me. And before I had my son, I honestly was afraid to be a parent because I'm like, I don't think that's how I want to do it. But also I didn't know that I could connect with other person. It was hard for me to come to that moment per se, but unschooling for us is just really that honing into what our needs are as people before going into our needs as like as a parent, as a family. So it's very individual but collective, if that makes sense.
No, it makes perfect sense. Which I'm like, ooh, I want to ask this question, and it ties into the human design because I'm a creative person too. But if I'm stressed the hell out, there's no way that I can be creative, and so I really have to balance that where I'm like, okay, I'm taking on too much. I need to pull back a little bit, and it's always this like pivoting, right? Because when you become aware of, and self-aware of things, and especially with human design, I think human design is like, I think it's just fascinating because it's
I
all
do too.
energetic, right? It's
It
all
really
energetic.
is.
We're energetic beings having
Yes.
a human experience,
Yes.
and it just makes sense. So I'm like, no wonder, like I'm a generator 5-1. So I'm constantly got all kinds of ideas coming to me, and understanding that they're not all for me.
Exactly.
And I didn't realize that I would be overwhelmed with the amount of ideas. And I'm like,
Yes.
what is going on here throughout my life? And I'm like, okay, am I supposed to do this? Am I supposed to do that? No, 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 no. But when you have an understanding
Yes.
that sometimes those ideas drop in, they may be for somebody else.
Oh, indeed.
And even though they're for somebody else, it's their responsibility to take the ball and run with it.
Yes.
Like,
It's not yours.
Hey, I had this come in, and I'm thinking you'd be perfect for it. So here's an idea. Here you go.
Mm-hmm.
And I think if people would be just like a little bit more open to that, like, and let the generators like go ahead and just, give these ideas and generate these ideas, and folks can just take it and run with it. Like it's all about co-creation. And that's
It
why
really is.
yeah, and that's why I changed the concept of this podcast and started interviewing people, because it really truly is about co-creation. It's about co-abundance, right? When we can, like, I can't possibly know everything, right?
Yes. Yes.
Right? And I want to get into the retreat space because that's something that I'm strong in, is bringing people together. So facilitating, creating things. And so the retreat space is is a place that I want to eventually get into, because and immersed in nature and all of that. But also, like, I can't do it alone. So I'm going to need folks to come in and like help me like co-create an amazing
Most
event,
definitely.
right?
Yeah. We are not meant
And
to do things alone. Mm-hmm.
absolutely not.
Yeah,
Absolutely not.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just like, it makes so much sense. So
I
yeah,
love
so
that.
the whole human design piece. So I'm just curious, what is your human design, and what are your children's human design?
So I am a 6 emotional manifesting generator, and my oldest son is a 1 sacral generator, and my younger son is a 1 sacral manifesting generator, quad right. And I add that in the quad right because from the human design perspective, we're moving into from a left world into a fully right world. So a quad right person, they're very unique in their creativity, in how they're very sensitive beings. I think we all have parts of our design that are very sensitive, but I think sensitivity comes different when you're a child and when you're quite right. So I worked a lot with that. And my husband of almost 20 years, he's a 6'2" emotional manifesting generator as well. So we have a very, very, very sacral energy household. So there are very unique perspectives, I guess that you could say that, there are unique dynamics. Human design came to us in 2021. So we started homeschooling in 2020. Think of me as Tiger Mom Homeschool Edition, like 2020. Like just like picture that. So I'm doing all the things 2020. By the end of it, beginning of 2021, I'm completely burned out at that point. I am to the point where I am angry and frustrated because my son, my oldest one, he functions very different than I do, right? So he didn't want to do the schedule that I had for him. He didn't want to do the curriculum that I had for him. And I'm like, well, why not? Like, how could you not? Like, this is so good. Like, I spent a lot of money. I spent almost $10,000 in curriculum, and it was in big quantities, right? It was like $30 here, $40 there. But once I added it up from 2020 all the way like to 2021, it was almost $10,000. So I am at the end of the road here. And that's when play, self-directed education, agile learning centers start coming to me. And then I find this person, her name is Dana Martin. She's a longtime unschooling advocate from New Hampshire. She started, I think it was, her kids are in their 30s right now. So she must have started in the late 80s, early 90s about this. So no one, it was just really not known. It's always been there. The term unschooling itself comes from the 70s from a gentleman named John Holt, who was a teacher. And the term itself is just life without school, without the structure of asking for grades and stuff like that. So in 2021, I joined her group, and that's how I learned about human design from a reflector and a generator. And it just pulled me in a way that I have never felt so seen before. I'm like, it was such a beautiful moment when I learned. So I started first with my design, right? That was the first piece, not with my kids' design. That's not how I started. Right. I listened to this podcast from the Day Luna podcast, which they're both human design teachers. Day Luna, yeah. There are two gals. I can't remember their names, but if you Google Day Luna podcast, they'll come up. That's what they do. They teach human design, and I learned from them. I listened to one of their very first podcasts on each type. So I listened to the manifest and generator type, and it brought me to tears because I have never heard such a nice, positive way to describe the multi-passionate. It always felt very negative, right? Yeah, I always felt the shame that I was into all these things, and I'm like, why is it that I can just do just one thing? I was upset at myself because I couldn't do that. I was always restricting myself to pivot, even though when I knew I was ready to pivot, but I felt that I couldn't do it because other people would see that as wrong. And it just it just brought me in. So all these pieces that had been negatively impacting my self-worth and the love for myself began to come up in a different light, began to show up in a light of, you're okay. There's nothing wrong with you. So I just started taking that, and then I started learning more about my not self, the frustration and the anger. And I was like, okay, this is something has to change. So human design allowed me to pivot and to have compassion for myself, but also to see that my kids learn completely different. Because at that point, I was like, we were at the point where it's either something has to change for me per se, because I knew enough to know that my kids were just doing what was inherently them, right? So I was trying to change them. I'm like, I can't do that. But what else am I going to do? And human design came at the point where I couldn't. Some of those early journals will show you, those pages are wet with tears from thinking, I don't know that I can do this. I don't know if this is for us. It was such a hard moment. because I'm like, I got to get my crap together here, or these children are better off at school. And it was either that, or I don't know, honestly, like he came to save me because I was a hot mess. I mean, not to say that I'm perfect. Please know that I am not perfect by any means, but the level of awareness that spirit and the universe and God put in me, it was I will forever be grateful. And also to my kids for their ability to tell me that the path I was on was not acceptable. And I was like, okay, excuse me. Like, and I had never had that, nor was I ever invited to share whether, some of the things that went on with me were acceptable for me or not. My opinion was never valued when I was a child. So it was a huge learning experience, but human design became the tool. And that's why I love it so much, because it became the tool to begin a new perspective, to explore, to learn, to experiment. It isn't rigid. That's not the way I like to share. And I like to say that most people that share human design will not tell you that human design is above what you feel or your intuition. People will mostly tell you it's just there if it resonates. If it doesn't, then that's okay. You let it go because it's not for you then. So it's okay.
Yeah, I find human design truly fascinating because it's like spot on. And
Yes.
coming from, I was in clinical research for, over 23 years. So in and around that big pharma corporate like model of like, medicine and working with, institutions, teaching institutions and things like this, I think that it would be so phenomenal to integrate that into corporate.
Yes.
But there's this, this conditioning, obviously, that we have, that people look at it like it's woo woo, and it's like, no, it's real. I look at it like it's energetic.
It really
We're
is
energetic.
Though. All of it. We are energetic beings.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I know people are still, questioning their conditioning and their programming and things like this. So I know that you're hearing more buzz about it, and it, from 5 years from now, it's going to be probably massively mainstream. And
yes, I hope so though.
Yeah. And I would like to see maybe it integrated in with some of the other assessments that they use in business, such as like the DISC or Myers-Briggs, because it really can help leaders understand their their workforce, right? The worker bees that are out here, what they need, what their needs are, and how can we bring the best out in the people that we have under us, right? If you're a leader, right? So like knowing this information, it's so valuable. So I'm hoping
Me too.
that it will merge into that. And I see it like even on LinkedIn, I see a lot of it being integrated. So it's kind of like I'm working on some things, to maybe get it in there, because I'm going to be working with going and working with some folks on the corporate end of doing neuroconditioning. So using gratitude to like bring the best out in people and to really build teamwork, right? Because I would say that corporate America there's some work that needs to be done there.
I think they're ready for an overhaul. I mean, if you think about it from the corporate, what do they call it when they bring in somebody and this person starts breaking from the inside? Yes. You need a real workaround from the inside out. Yeah. And I think it's some like people we need more compassion, more compassion, understanding, and all of that. So I love it. I love it for you. Yeah, I think it's going to be a good thing. So we're working on that and getting the coaching program, and it's pretty exciting. It's a lot of hard work, and we're going to be, I think once we get rocking and rolling and having to like make videos and things like that, it's going to get really busy. So lots of changes coming in the next, I'd say 3 to 6 months with that. Yes, absolutely. And building that business. So
But yeah, I mean, I love human design. I think
I do
it's so
too.
advantageous for people to really know their human design because it helps them understand themselves. And it's like
Yes.
I do that. And I thought that was a bad thing, but now it's like no, it's not. It's like a superpower. This is amazing.
Yeah.
And it just reframes what you've always thought of like there's something wrong with me,
Yes. Oh
right?
my goodness. Yes, most definitely. Yeah, I really love it though. And I love that you're doing that to bring it into just different places of work and, corporations and stuff, because I feel like if your employees, so you as an employee, if you're fulfilled, I mean, you're about to give the best of yourself and you're about to radiate energy that is so positive and that naturally affects the environment around you. So when you're naturally within those energies where everyone is like fulfilled, happy, I mean, things just magically happen. There's not a
They
lot of
do.
extra that needs to be added on as long as everyone is in alignment. And that is I find human design to be so practical that it doesn't take much to be integrated into your life, you know?
No, it doesn't.
So I really love that though, because I think it's definitely well needed.
Yeah, and I think more so like we need to subtract
Yes.
more than add
Mm-hmm.
stuff. We need to be
Yep.
subtracting things that don't serve us and
Definitely.
kind of realigning that. And I think human design is a good piece of that solution. I think maybe in the meantime in corporate we maybe have to reframe it a little bit, like,
Yeah.
under the guise and kind of maybe I've got some ideas. So I'm gonna see what I can do. But because corporate is so much different than personal development, right?
It
You
is.
can't go too woo woo in corporate because then they're going to be like, can't bring God too much into the corporate space
Yeah.
because, which is, I got a news flash for those out in corporate America. It's coming.
Yes, most
It's going to
definitely.
be, the landscape is changing and God will be a part of that picture, I believe. So,
Yeah, no, indeed, though. I think subtracting is definitely more. I mean, that certainly was for us, though. I started subtracting, taking out things that didn't serve us. I started, releasing relationships that didn't feel aligned anymore. And it wasn't all easy. This work, it's not definitely ebbs and flows. I'm an emotional authority, so emotions and low waves are part of who I am. So that was a huge piece of why human design made sense to me, because my kids have an open solar plexus. So what it is that I send out emotions and my kids receive emotions. So if you think of the definition of an empath, for anyone that's not familiar with human design, a person with that is an empath, they most likely have an open or undefined solar plexus. So they receive and amplify emotions. So that was the first piece when I started working with my kids' design, to understand how our dynamics as a family are, and to understand that my low waves are not necessarily bad, because often we think when someone is sad and maybe there's not a reason, we need to find a reason, and there isn't always one. I know for Do you have a sacral authority, or what's your
I'm
authority?
sacral. Yeah, I'm a
Okay.
sacral authority. Yeah.
Yeah, so energetically speaking, I feel like for all of us, there is a huge ebb and flow about energy and emotions and all of that. So there's more, everything is heightened, I believe. And it was important for me to know that about myself, but also about my kids, and to respect when my wave is kind of low, because I have a very melancholy wave. So I just get sad sometimes. So I really put boundaries about how much socials do I consume, when do I consume it. Like it's a little more invested, because I know that I get sad, but when that happens, then I have now practices in place to language to let my children know that they may feel my sadness, but it has nothing to do with them, and it was not caused by them, right? That they did not make me sad, that they have no it's just part of who I am. So I was trying to explain that to my kids, and to create those boundaries. So we begin to craft those relationship into understanding and being aware of who the other person is. And that is huge because when we were in the school system in the Montessori, we didn't see him for like, 6, 7 hours. And then when we got home, he was like rush, 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 so.
Most definitely. You know what? I want to ask you, can you hear all this ruckus in the back?
Yeah.
It's terrible.
I know you probably hear it more than I do, but it's like very faint on my end.
This guy's out here leaf blowing, and I'm like,
it's very faint on my end, but I know you probably hear it a lot on your end.
yeah, and I even have the window closed. This is crazy. It's like, hurry up, dude. Hurry up.
So
hurry
funny.
up, dude. Recording
That's
a
so
podcast
funny.
over here. Hello.
That's so funny.
Yeah, it's pretty loud. I'm like, wow. So yeah, I'm opening up this right now.
Okay.
Do you know who Jenna? You know Jenna Zoe, right?
Yeah, I just got her book actually. Yep.
Yeah, she has an app that's called Align. Okay.
Yes.
And so I have her app because I'm like, oh, I love this. But yeah, so I want to.
Yeah, I just got her book. It's been on my library for a long time about one of my I'm doing a human design pop-up next weekend, actually next Saturday in one of our coffee shops. So I'm so excited. I love to do those events. So I bring a series of books to share with people to if they're interested, I'm like, hey, this is what's available. So just kind of for them to get a feel of what the book looks like. So hers is one on my list to bring with me and to share with other people. Yes.
Cool. Yeah, it says right here, like, so my not self is frustration, which happens all the time. Like when the moment I get frustrated, I'm like, whoa, calm down, take it easy.
Yes.
But yeah, it is very interesting. The whole human design piece of it.
What else do you have open? What do you have open? So you're a 5-1 sacral generator. So you have your solar plexus is open. Is there anything else open?
Yeah, let me.
Your head is probably open too, right? Open or undefined with the inspiration. Yeah, because I suffer from that. Oh my gosh, I wish just people. I mean, if I could just give ideas to people, that would make my life a lot easier though, because I have so many. I'm like, we have so many. So if you need ideas, if you're stuck, if you are looking for a different point of view, please come see us.
Oh, I know. I'm telling you, it's fascinating. And, I'm still kind of learning it because it really is a lot to learn and to really understand like the moving parts of it. But it truly is. It is truly fascinating. And I think it can be really very just life-changing.
Yes. I highly recommend it. That
helps you understand yourself and understanding. Like my thing is like the whole waiting to respond. Like it's not actually waiting.
Correct.
But it's actually, it's having faith that it's all going to, it's all going to align, and you just have to be in a state where you truly believe that, everything is going to align. And what is that? That's faith. So it's like you have, so I have learned to have an immense faith. I'll tell you that over the last like 7-8 years. It's truly remarkable.
Yeah.
So so just in general, many parents, they fear falling behind. And what are they really afraid of losing, and what might they gain instead?
It's such a great question. I think when we are in the school system, we are part of what's acceptable. So I think parents, and I can say this for myself, I was afraid of being singled out. I was afraid of being outside of what was acceptable, what was normal. I was afraid of being the weird person, right? So, and if you think about it, for homeschooling prior to 2020, it is that. if you were saying to people that you homeschooled prior to 2020, it was like, oh, it was a little uncomfortable because everyone was in the school. There's a very defined visual of what a homeschool family was prior to 2020. And then you have different narratives, right? From people like the book Educated. It's a very, very good example of something that's very stereotype. It's not everyone's experience, and there are good and bad experiences in homeschooling, just as there are good and bad experiences in the public school system. Just that is just life, and it's not always you're not always part of it. So I think when we first started, it was the fear of going into something that we had not known and that we were not told by the media, by our families, that it was okay to do. So we were stepping into completely unknown territory for us, for my husband and I. And if you're feeling that, I can tell you that that's totally normal. If you are thinking about it, if you just know, it's totally normal. What you will gain, it is going to be a blank canvas for your family, for yourself. It is a blank canvas that's super big. It's imagine the biggest canvas that you have ever seen in your life for your art, not just a tiny 8x10. No, imagine this massive blank canvas, like, big Delacroix painting, like just massive. And it's all blank. So it's up to you to choose the paint, because now you're choosing. You have that freedom now to choose the paint, to choose your base, your foundation. You don't have to paint it, green and blue because that's what the school said. So it's a blank canvas where you have the freedom to choose. And it feels scary because up until now, most of us parents have grown up with a school system. So our life is dictated by the breaks, right? You have winter break, you have summer break. So your life is dictated by those specific moments. Someone is telling you that in summer you can take time off. Someone is telling you that over Christmas you only have 4 days to enjoy your family and your children. Someone is telling you that you now need to ramp up your studies because you have to take that test. When you begin homeschooling or home education in any way that shows up for you, no one is going to tell you how to do it. So there's this huge fear of not being able to take control. And it's all there. So this is where deschooling comes up a lot. And a lot of people feel like it's not needed. But let me tell you, deschooling, which is the transition process that families go through when they leave mainstream education into alternative education, that process never ends. It just evolves. So here is this big canvas that it's at your fingertips now, and it's just a work of art. It's a sprint. No, what is it? It's a marathon, not a sprint.
It's a marathon, not a sprint.
Yeah, so please.
So true. Life, I think that's life. We want to sprint through life, and it's like, no, slow it down a little bit. Dial it down.
Yeah, because it goes by so fast. And I think that was one of the things that homeschooling and, alternative education, unschooling now for us is to really live life. It's to really enjoy the moments of either staying up late or having a late morning, and not feel like we are lazy or unproductive, because rest is not unproductive.
No,
we
it's not.
Often, go to the point of burnout, to where now, when you are talking about retreats, something that I think about sometimes is the sleep retreats. Have you heard about them?
Oh my gosh. The rest retreats? Are you kidding me?
The rest retreats.
So amazing for the nervous system.
It's so amazing, but it's also incredible that we have to be outside of our home to feel comfortable to sleep. Because if you are in your home, you probably are feeling guilty for sleeping, for thinking that sleeping and giving your body what it needs. So they're very different nuances, but the universe and God only gives you what you can take at the moment. Because I can tell you that if the universe has said to me, Julieta, back in 2020, early, even 2020, they're like, hey, here's human design. You should look into it. I'd be like, no, no, this is not what I need right now. So just take it one day at a time. But yeah, definitely people feel like what they're going to miss out is being included. Because as human beings, as social human beings, we like to be loved. We like to be accepted. We like to be validated. But it's choosing yourself is also being loved by you, by yourself, so I think it's there's a lot of different pieces of the puzzle that I am grateful I had the time, because I went through it during COVID. I know for families right now it may feel a little bit like everything all at once. For us, it wasn't all at once, because they were like gradually, and we had the space to, we had closure, so we couldn't really go anywhere sometimes. So we had that space to do that. So I always like to start from that point, to kind of take stuff away from the family and then explore what feels good, what doesn't. But it's not immediate, it's just like a process of exploration, of reflection. Like you and I, we love going deep. Like I love going deep.
I'm
because
like, we can go as deep as you want to go.
Yes.
I love it. The whole thing with what you were saying with regard to rest, like the actual act of like sleeping. Like folks don't understand that we've been in survival mode for a long time.
Yes.
And then when you start to peel back and you start to heal and go through that healing journey, like you need that physical rest. You need those bed rot days to just be like, you know what, I'm just not going to do anything and not feel guilty about it. Like when it first happened, when I started to go through, I would feel guilty. And I'm like,
totally,
I could be doing this. I have so much stuff to do. Why am I? But you just get to a point where you like, it's like spirit's like, slow your roll. You're going to rest.
Yep. And not because you don't get it doesn't mean that you don't need it. So that's when spirit will tell you, like, slow it down, because the body, it's a tool that is used to tell you to slow it down. That's when we have major health crisis and all of that. So it really is, it feels not important because we have been told that it's not important. We have been told that productivity is on the way of doing things, of creating things, and it's not true. Productivity, rest, it's a way for your body to recharge. So
absolutely. And you need it. And you understand this because you used to fly all the time. Like when you add planes, trains, and automobiles into the mix and you're run, it's like, well, no wonder. I mean, so no wonder I'm so exhausted. And I don't think you realize it until you're like, just you sleep, you rest, you just like, I just need to rest. And so when I get to the point where now it's like I may have a day where I'm like, gosh, I just feel like I wake up and I'm like, I just feel like I just don't want to do anything today. And it's like, it's a cue for me, number one, get out in nature, but also to just have a day where I'm just like dialing it in and just being by myself.
Yes, absolutely. Yes. It's one of the most underrated gifts that you can give to yourself, which is rest.
Big time. Yeah. Big time. And rest is so important because if you're not operating, at full capacity and firing all cylinders, you're nothing to everybody else. If you're not rested, you can't possibly give from an empty tank.
No.
It's kind of common sense, right? You just realize, okay, I gotta take this and really think about what I'm doing here and take care of myself.
Yes.
Depending on the amount of, processing and healing, I've had a lot of loss in my life. So did I ever fully grieve? Did I ever fully grieve the loss of my mother, the loss of my father? No. That kind of manifested in a way where it was like, okay, I just need to rest. So now I'm just like, okay, well, I guess it's going to be a bed rot day today, and I don't beat myself up because it is, right?
Yes.
If I just feel like I need to rest, I just do.
Yeah. Oh my goodness. Yes. That's the most beautiful way to do it, and that's what we do. Like our unschooling days, like you were asking about, how does that look like for day to day? It looks different.
Every day?
We were out on a trip, and then we came home, and there were like 2 or 3 days for us to like, process a trip, process the travel, the way the body feels when we came back, and all that stuff. So it all looks different. So yeah, but rest is very important.
So, bringing this back to the trip to Greece, I guess I would assume that that was basically kind of a field trip.
Yeah, yeah.
What a cool concept. And so what did you integrate when you were over there as far as a learning um, um, situation or learning opportunity for your children? What did that look like?
Well, learning, so the whole trip is a learning experience.
Yeah.
It just
Yeah.
doesn't look like, I don't have worksheets. There are some people that travel with workbooks. That's not what I do, because to me it's about learning all of the experience. So we learned about airports are incredibly grounding for us per se, because we goes really slow. So to me, the journey of getting to a place is just as important as the time that we are there. So that's always good. But, we talked about the trips, we talked about the countries. If you think about the subjects, we cover every single subject
Love it.
like that you could possibly think of. So we flew to Amsterdam, we stay a night. So we talked about the architecture, about the bicycles. Never seen,
Yeah.
the boys had never been to Amsterdam. So it was the first time them seeing how important bicycles are in Amsterdam, and how they operate, how different they are, and all of that stuff. So then we went to Athens, we went to the Acropolis. So that was really, really unique. We had a really nice hotel where we had a view of the Acropolis at night. It was massive. I mean, it was like mind blowing. Yeah, it was really incredible to be within such a historical place, to talk about all of that, to listen to the language, to understand how they communicate, and how much we did not understood of what they were saying. I left my phone in one of the cabs when we first got to Athens. I left my phone in the cab. And then my kids, I'm like, okay, I said, I think I left my phone. I said, I need you to help me look for it. So they did. So working together, that the way we help each other out, because it was just the three of us. So my oldest son has, he was able to help a little more, and just to evolve into the role that we both have. But they helped me, and then we learned about the cab driver. He actually heard my phone ping when I did it through the iPad. And then he came back. He came back to the hotel and drove off my phone. I was like, my goodness, yes. I mean, it was massive. So we learned about the people, the essence of the people of Greece, and how nice they were to us, and how, so all of those pieces, they couldn't have been in a worksheet. Like, I couldn't have asked the question, let's look for how the Greek people behave towards foreigners. And then them like looking for examples. It's just something that you live. It's not something that I grade. It's just something that you live. And we did. We lived it. We lived going through ferries, and going in, just walks, and understanding, looking at the cats, because the island of Syros is known for its cats. So, how the people operate. So it's just amazing. It is hard to compartmentalize the learning that happens and to put it into subjects. So, life doesn't fit in just subjects. The book of life, the book of your life, how many chapters would it have? Would they be long? Would they be short? So there's just all of that. And I mean, for a while, I like to say, which is normal. I mean, I was scared about, falling, like you said, falling behind, which is, I think most people think about what the standardized test, like if I would take a test, would I have a good score? Probably not. But also, my life experience may not be the one of another person's. But is that score giving me how I earn my living? Also, no. It's just a way for it to make other people feel good, because the scores represent the value, the monetary value that a school receives from other people. So I'm not really sure, uh you know it's something that you have to let go. And I work very hard because I also have the fears sometimes. They don't always go away, but I think I'm better at managing them and understanding that the jobs that my kids will do have not even been created yet. I don't know what they will be doing because life is changing so fast. Technology is changing everything. People are losing their jobs. And like you're saying, corporate is changing. The way people are seeing at what's valuable is changing. So everything is changing. So I don't know that my kids will benefit from, I do know that my kids will not benefit from being in a classroom learning from books that were created 20 years ago. I do know that. I do know that. And I am so sure of that whatever comes afterwards, it will be better than that. And yeah, I'm at peace with that.
I definitely think there's this movement of homeschooling going on because of just the distrust in the system. And so when parents are in this transition, right, of they've
Yes.
decided they want to do unschooling, how do they move from control-based parenting into trust-based parenting? And then a second part of that question is what does that look like? How do people fully trust themselves in this process, and like where do I begin, and all of that? Like what resources are out there for parents if this is a choice that they want to make, that they want to homeschool their children, and what does that look like?
Yeah, I think for your first question is like when you are starting to think about, when you're starting to know, that that's what you want to do, I think you start with yourself. Often when we begin transitions into a different system or a different way of living, it's easier for us to project our expectations on our children or on other people because that means that they are removed from us. So it almost feels a responsibility feels away from us. But the first step for me that really changed our life was when I was able to be self-aware and to take responsibility of my own actions. So, and there's a lot there because if you have, depending on what your childhood was like, depending on where you are as an adult, depending what you do now for a living, if you are completely out of alignment, like Jay said, she said, frustration. So in human design, the feelings that kind of tell you that you're out of alignment will be frustration, anger, bitterness, disappointment, and I am missing one more, anger and frustration, which is for manifesting generators. So if you have any of those feelings right now, I can tell you that the work starts with you. The work is inevitably starts with you because I call our children our greatest cosmic teachers. Your children will show you where the work is. So start with you because that is going to you're going to teach by example. So you are now modeling that inner work, self-reflection, and rest, that's okay because we were given the example of working 24/7, doing the best that you could for your company, doing the best you could for other people, ignoring yourself. My mom is a projector. I was given the example that doing for other people as much as you could was the way you got recognition. So I was never rest was not modeled to me. So it took a long time for me to understand that rest was actually needed. Like we just talked about.
Yeah.
So it all starts with you. And how does that look like? Those transitions, they are a marathon. Different things will come up at different times. So begin with you, love yourself, find out how you can validate yourself and how you can this is where inner child work comes in. You're not reliving your childhood per se, but you're giving yourself what you did not have. And that is just kind of you're filling the gaps that other people left. Maybe not by choice, because our parents, I know my mom would have done differently if she had known things, right? So maybe not by choice, but that's just what was shown to them. It's generational healing. So we are a very pivotal generation that's healing generations behind us that came before us, and we are starting to set a new foundation for the generations that are to come and the ones that our children will be part of. So we have a very important task at hand to heal ourselves in order to be able to provide for our children in a different way. So
And
yeah,
drop the mic on that, because it's so true. Are literally
yes, yeah,
we're in the midst of this generational healing where we're being called to question the conditioning that we've had in our families, because
yes,
it's maladaptive.
yes. Yes, it's something that, you're just gonna have to start, and you have to be willing to do it. It's not always easy. I love resources. So some resources, like Jay said, I absolutely love human design. I absolutely love the nervous system work. I absolutely love Dr. Gabor Mate. If you are a person that has experienced severe childhood trauma, severe toxic shame, severe school trauma, that's probably where you want to start. Find that the words of Dr. Gabor Mate are some of the most honest and so deep. Like one of, some of those shorts that people make about his conversations, I mean, they can unravel years of PTSD for you. So just be prepared for some of the support. So healing often is not overnight, and it's not like, okay, I'm healed. Things will come up when you least expect it. And that's why it's just you can only building capacity in your body for nervous system work. It's small. So I know for myself, I couldn't handle talking about this conversation that I'm having with Jade right now. I couldn't have this conversation back in 2021, even at the beginning of my journey in human design, because I didn't have the capacity to understand that I was angry and I was frustrated, and I was projecting experiences that happened to me when I was a child. I didn't have a terrible childhood, but I wasn't seen, I wasn't validated, and I wasn't recognized. So I needed to give that to myself. The work of Dr. Gabor Mate, it's a beautiful one. Anything in self-directed education by Peter Gray, John Holt. There are so many good people in this community sharing ways for you to navigate your days. Human design is the one it's my tool to go to, because I know I need structure. So for me, it's important, but I know it's not as important for my children. So human design helps me navigate meeting that 50-50 ways of meeting my needs, which are very structured. So I have a to-do list that I do before I go to bed at night. I write 3 things that need to be accomplished the next day. So when I wake up in the morning, I don't have to have decision fatigue. I get that a lot. Like I get stuck in like, oh my God, all these things, what can I do? So 3 things.
I got all these things.
I focus on that.
Yeah.
Prioritize. I set up the days the night before with my children. What are we going to do? What are you guys are up to? So then we set up times to leave the house. And then I give times for them to be ready. So I'm not rushing out of my house. I'm not screaming at the kids like, let's go, let's go. I'm not doing that. Everyone has the space to begin and finish something if that's what they want to do. So those resources, they will slowly show up to you, for you too. It's so fascinating. The work of Byron Katie about I think she calls it the work, but there are 4 questions about perspective and if what you absolutely believe is true, and all of those, the work on expectations. That's a huge resource for people in home education, because what are your expectations? And when your expectations don't match your reality, there's a drop in dopamine. So your expectations was built, this castle built in your mind, and your reality doesn't look like that, right? Like me thinking that that we were going to do homeschool at the table and everyone's going to be like invested in this, and we're going to be reading the books and doing all these things, and then they're like, you know, running around crazy with no shirts, no clothes, and just being happy, So when those two do not match, then there was a drop in my expectation of my homeschool life, in my unschooling life, in my alternative education. So I felt bad about it. So those resources it's just a start as to what you need, but mostly the resource that what you need is already in you. It's already in you, that love for yourself, that passion to live this life to the best of your ability. That's in you. It's just being boxed up by people's conditioning. Yes, and societal conditioning.
Absolutely. So Gabor Mate, like there was, and I just looked it up. It was something about trauma that I remember
Yes.
a quote that he had about trauma. And so he said, this is a quote from Gabor Mate, that trauma is not what happens to you, but what happens inside of you as a result of what happens to you. So it's not about just what happens to you. It's like all this stuff that goes in here, the battlefield of the mind, that, that mind can be a battlefield sometimes. And we really, the trauma that we've been through, we relive it. We hang on to it. We don't let go of it. And so it just makes so much sense, that quote. And I was like, let me look this up. So I was looking that up when you were talking about him, because he is so wise. He literally is so wise. And I really do. I like him a lot. I
do too. And I love him like nervous system work is something that we underestimate. And like Jay said, we have been living in fight or flight for a very long time, to where we don't know what it's like to live in what he said, the parasympathetic system. So we don't know what it's like to live and rest and digest, almost, because we have been fighting and surviving. Same thing with human design. When you are constantly living in your not self, we don't know what it's like to live in alignment. So it's a very different experience to be able to say, wow, this feels good, and to accept that as something that you are worthy of. So yeah, there's just a lot of pieces there, but definitely, resources are coming up. I absolutely love the work that many people are doing. I think our podcast is part of that work too, showing the real transformation. So it's not, I personally like to share from this deep moments where I can tell you that I've been frustrated, because I suffer at the beginning with the very curated Instagram accounts, because they made me feel bad, that my experience wasn't like that. So when I started sharing my journey, I wanted to be as clear, as open, as real as I could, because I wanted to show people that they weren't alone, and B, that if I could do it, because I was a hot mess, that anybody could do it. Honestly, I can tell you that it was just, anybody can do it. You're not alone. But it's not something that happens overnight. And it's something that you have to be intentional about it. You have to choose yourself in order to move, and you move forward. And you have to be your own best advocate. There's nobody will fight for you or your children more than you can do yourself.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And, I think it's funny that you say I was a hot mess. We all are, right? We all are, because we're just surviving. But once you step out of that and you step onto the path of healing, you realize oh yeah, and you can laugh about it, because that is one thing about life, man. We can be hot messes, and it's okay, right? It's
totally okay. It is totally okay.
And it's messy, right?
It's very messy.
And when you're trying to build a business, it's messy. Or you're trying to step out into something new, it's going to be messy. And being okay with that, being okay with it, because then all of a sudden it starts to come together.
So beautiful.
And it's in looks very small moments. Masterpiece, the painting you were talking about earlier.
Yep. It is coming together though, but you have to choose yourself here. And this is
Most
where
definitely.
a lot of awareness comes in, like you said, finding out, taking stuff out of your life. I think we definitely have too many things in our lives that take us from this whole center from within type of experience. And people work very hard into keeping us that way. So, yeah, it's beautiful.
That whole subtracting, right? So
Mm-hmm.
we talk about that in this coaching program that we're building, is not adding more things, like
No.
take away what's not serving you, and then maybe, okay, you can add, like, say you want to get in, you want to start doing yoga to increase your flexibility. Okay, fine, add that in, but start looking at things that you can take away that aren't serving you.
Yeah. Yeah.
And
It's, yeah.
that could be as simple as, okay, I'm going to stop eating sweets or whatever it may be, right? You just start subtracting those things away that are not serving you. And if we sit back and we can be mindful and have self-awareness, it's right there. Like, we know
Yeah.
what doesn't serve us. And
Yeah.
if we just kind of take inventory of that,
Yes. It's
it's pretty
absolutely
cool.
beautiful. Yeah. It's absolutely beautiful what you will find out when you start being
Yeah.
self-aware. Yes,
So
absolutely.
let's talk about your podcast, the Unschooling podcast. Where is it located? And tell us a little bit about, like, how did that come to fruition as a part of the whole unschooling that you did with your kids?
Yeah, I think it just came, I started writing about the difficulties I had as a parent because I knew I wasn't alone, but I felt alone, but I knew that I wasn't. So I started writing about it. My first original blog was Homeschooling with a Twist. And then once I finally decided to adopt the label unschooling, which is, in its educational freedom, and then radical unschooling, and then I added the unschooling lifestyle because it's freedom through every aspect of life. So we live together, we collaborate together, and we make decisions together. And then the podcast was just, I was invited to share the experience in a podcast. And I'm like, oh my God, this was so good because I was being, as a manifesting generator, I love the questions because it allows me to go deeper into my experiences. And I'm like, oh my goodness, I could have a podcast. And how hard can it be? And I'm like, oh my goodness. So I went in it. I dove feet first and created the Unschooling Lifestyle, and has been evolving, right? I have done solo episodes. I've done solo episodes on homeschooling. Our first fears are some of the myths that, that people talk about. Are they real? Are they not? Our experience. But mostly it's really conversations about the messiness that it happens in leaving things that don't serve you, because they're very grounding. The school system has a historical, evolution. I mean, people don't even, whenever we have kids, once they start turning like 2 or 3, the first question that people will ask you when you're meeting your parents is like, do you know what school they're going to go to? It's like, you don't even think to question whether that's a step that you want to take. You're automatically conditioned already to choose a place to send your kids to. So that alone to me was mind blowing because I never thought to question it. I never thought that whether I was eligible or able to stay with my son longer. I just knew that everyone did it, so I did it too. And I'm like, okay, this is not okay. So yeah, so the podcast is all about that. World schooling travel. So we have some episodes. There's a mix of all conversations with other people because it's important for me to share other people's perspective on how
Oh,
they have
yeah.
navigated unschooling and all their stuff. So you can find us in Spotify, Apple Podcasts, our website, theunschoolinglifestyle.com. You can find us there. And my personal Facebook, which is Julieta Duvall, you can just find me there. I'm slowly moving away from some of the socials. So we closed our Instagram account, and we have our YouTube channel. So you can find us on our YouTube channel as well. It's the Unschooling Lifestyle. Yeah, come join us.
The social media piece, right?
Yeah, very important.
It is very important, but I find, like, at least for me in my journey, like, I find it that, like, I just like, it's not a piece that I enjoy anymore, and I'm like, I'm like, I can't wait to, like, delegate that off to somebody. I'm like, let's get it, because
Yeah,
just being on there, you know, you can, there's just a lot, there's a lot of chaos in the
There is
world.
a
We'll
lot of
just say
chaos, and I
that.
think that's what I meant when I said very important is to
Yeah.
look into it.
Yeah.
Instagram for us was draining. It was draining my energy in a way that I didn't like it. So as I said, I come up with ideas a lot. So being on the socials wasn't very good for that. Like my mind was just like, spiraling with ideas, and I'm like, I cannot. So we decided to close that. It has worked out okay. I feel lighter. Facebook, we closed some groups that we were part of that I had formed, and they didn't feel aligned anymore. So it was just, again, taking stuff that didn't serve me. Because as we move forward, my intentions are to provide experiences for my children, to provide connection with them, and to be more at home within our environment. We have groups, we have some travel planned. So I have found many connections online, but it's not the way I connect the best sometimes. So again, it's taking what doesn't help us and then just having more of what does. That's all. It's just a simple math equation, you could call it, I guess. I don't know. But yeah, you can find us
Absolutely.
there. Come join us and just come say hi. If you have any
So,
questions, I'm always happy to answer them.
so question, I know that you said that you enjoy writing and all of that. Have you looked at Substack?
Yeah, I have joined Substack and I do like it, but sometimes it feels, how do I put it? I think oh my goodness, it just feels like a lot to me. So people are processing a lot of emotions in Substack, and sometimes like I can't, it's just too much for me sometimes. So it's just but I do like to go in there when I feel like I need to be inspired sometimes. And if I'm not in the right place, I will go to Substack and read some letters or essays. People write amazing. They write amazing pieces. It's just sometimes I need it and sometimes I don't. So I'm not consistent. And that's important too for me. So yes, but I do have it. I just don't go on it very often. So I don't really promote it, I guess you could say.
Yeah,
Yeah.
the socials are something that you really have to like sit back and take inventory, because
Yes.
there's a lot of chaos, a lot of
Mm-hmm.
chaos, a lot of propaganda,
Yes.
lot of I don't know, just, and it's like, no, I ain't got time for it. Like I just don't want it in my orbit, and that's
Yep.
okay. That's
And
okay.
that's okay. And that's okay.
And
That
other
works for
people,
you.
they may want to, and that's fine.
Yeah.
That they can do what they got to do.
Yeah. And I think why I love the podcast so much too, because also I'm
Yeah.
able to process what my experience and, find out let other people know how I learned it or what I learned through this experience with my kids and whatnot, or whatever talk about topics. Sometimes I choose just questions that people send me and then I answer them through the podcast. And that way people can interact with it
Yeah.
if that's what they're looking for. And I love that because I'm not putting this on anyone. If you're ready to transition, that's okay. But if you're still happy within the school or the environment that you work, that's okay too. There's so many options for everyone. So it's just making sure that what you do have, it's serving you in its most
Yeah.
magical way, because you are a magical being. So you also deserve magical things and people and places that are compatible and that give you that magical thing that you deserve. So yeah.
So I have a question about the questions. Like, so where is that at, and what does that look like? Because that sounds so fascinating. I would love to do that, where you just like answer questions that people ask. How did you do that? What's that look like?
So sometimes people send me emails,
Yeah.
they send me emails, or sometimes if I'm in the homeschool websites, Facebook groups or whatever,
Yeah.
sometimes if it's a question that I don't have time to answer, I will just take a screenshot and remove any, they're usually not personal information and any of those questions. So people will just post, like, for example, let me see if I have one here so I can show it to you. And then I will just kind of like write my answer as I would in the so here's one that I wanted to answer a little bit deeper. They are we are headed to Merida in Mexico in 2 weeks and are trying to arrange all the logistics. Do you have experience with car rentals or Airbnbs in Merida and what it would be like for a family? So my sister lives there. I have experience with a World School Hub there. So I wanted to write all of that. So I will probably put that on a podcast and just kind of put it out there.
Yeah.
And I love those type of questions because to me, that's just kind of like what's happening in the real world. And I just look for those questions and then I take whatever works. Let me see if I have.
Super cool.
Yeah. So, like, can someone explain more about world schooling and road schooling is? So I love I usually write sometime like essay, like Substack essays on Facebook for people's answers. So sometimes I'll take my own answers and repurpose them for a podcast and just kind of share it out there.
I love that. That's a cool idea. And I like to see, like, I like this because I learn something every day. And a lot of the folks that I'm interviewing, even if I haven't interviewed them yet, like, I have podcasts. So I like to ask, like, how do you do things? Because look, I'm over here learning, and I think it's always a good thing to do process improvement. So if things make things move smoother with the podcast itself, like, I'm game for that.
Yes, absolutely.
Podcasting, it's fun, but it is a lot of work, right?
It is a lot of work.
Especially when you have to edit and pop the intro in, pop the outro in, pop the hook in, and all of that. So it's like, man,
it's a lot of work.
It is a lot. It's a commitment, but
it is.
I do enjoy it. And, I know in the future that I'll probably outsource some things once I start to get really busy where I just can't do it. But right now I do enjoy it. I do the editing, I do all of it. And it's like, I think it's just skills that I can gain, and it's pretty cool because I'm like, oh wow, like, I'm getting the hang of this,
Mm-hmm.
I can get it done.
Yeah, it's beautiful.
Yes. Yeah, it's a cool thing. So so what do you got? What's the plans for today? How's the weather there in Michigan?
Weather's good. I have one more phone call and in a little while, and just a 3 here, and then we're gonna go grocery shopping, and then we're gonna do meal planning for the week. So we all go as a family, and then we plan for the week, and we buy whatever it is that we need, and we all collaborate together on that. Because I'll be on a trip, I'll be taking a trip for work this week. So the boys will be with my husband, which they have been, but my husband, works from home. So we'll have some help from my parents to come and hang out and stuff like that. So we're just, collaborating together. I mean, they are such good kids. They're not afraid to tell me when I am losing my marbles. And I could not be happier.
I mean, love that.
Yeah.
I love that.
I absolutely love them. And without them, I don't know that this journey would have been possible. So they came to me to show me something. And they sure have.
That's amazing. What an amazing journey.
Yeah.
What are their ages and what are their names?
So Anthony's 12, he's my oldest, and Ari is 6, and he's my youngest son.
Oh my gosh. So cool.
They are beautiful souls, that's for sure. Yes.
That is amazing.
Yeah.
Well, I know we're going to inspire someone to step into their unschooling journey. There's always a reason for everything, right?
Yeah. Yes.
And if we can touch one soul on this podcast, that's all, it's all good. And I'm truly grateful for it. And I'm grateful for this conversation. I've learned a lot.
Me too.
I really have. I've learned a lot. So I thank you so much for coming on, Julieta, and we have to have you on again.
I would love to. Thank you.
It's been a blast.
It really has, though, and I really love it because your profile, you're a 5'1", you're meant to inspire strangers. Different for me that I'm a 4'6", so I'm more like in my network. Opportunities come from my network. But as a 5'1", you are meant to inspire and change in strangers. And I think that often you don't always see that, the impact that you have on people, but I know that you do. And I absolutely love being part of it. So thank you so much for having me. I really
Thank you so
appreciate you.
much. What an amazing thing to remind me,
Yes.
because sometimes you get caught up and you don't realize that. But um, yeah, it's interesting that you say that, because that's what the coaching program that we're starting to develop. It's developed, but we're refining it. It's all based on gratitude, and it's
Yes.
all based on interactions with strangers and inspiring strangers, right? And how
Yes.
that makes us feel.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Like, so it's so interesting that you reminded me of that, because I'm like, this is why it's
Yeah.
happened, and it comes into light. So I'm like, this is a glimmer. So thank you,
Yeah, it
because I'm
is. Do
like,
you
I'm on the right track. I love
you
it.
totally are. Have you done a human design reading before?
I have not done an actual reading per se.
Okay.
I've done my chart, but I would love to do a reading.
Let me just do, if you want to, if it's okay, if it
Yeah,
resonates with you, but I
let's
can send
do
you a
it.
guide. I can send you a guide with like it's part of one of my communities. So I pulled your chart, and then I pulled the human design guide for you. It talks about your type, your strategy, your profile, some of your gates. But I've been giving it to people that I from podcasts, and everyone seems to have like, oh my goodness, this is so on point. But I love giving it out to people because it's just something that you can go back to. Like that is my favorite thing to do. That's how we started with human design, but the blueprint, I feel like it goes in depth. So I feel like you read it once and you're like, okay, this makes sense, this doesn't, but then you go back to it. But if you want me to, I'll be happy to send that to you.
Sure, that would be cool. So you just need my birthday.
Yeah, like if you have your
I'm
date
going
of
to put it
birth.
in the chat.
Okay.
Well, wait a minute. No, it's not letting me. Well, yeah, it is. Okay, I'm going to put it in the chat. It's 01/20. I'm telling my age here.
Okay, hold on. Date of birth.
8:39 p.m.
Okay,
I
where is the
think, right? Or is it
chat? Oh,
8:38?
here's the chat. Hold on.
I can just, are you going to just put it in now?
Yeah, I'm gonna put it right now. So
Oh,
what's
then I
your
can
day?
just tell you.
Yeah,
Okay.
what's the day, the month?
January 26th, 1971.
26. Okay, 1971.
Yep.
And
8:39 p.m.
8:39 p.m. Okay.
And that's Gary, Indiana.
Gary, Indiana. Okay, so I'm gonna pull it down.
My father's family is from the Chicagoland area. Shout out to
Jay,
Chicago.
you have every motor defined except the head. But it sounds, according to this, and I'm gonna send it to you, but it sounds like you have an emotional authority, girlfriend. Okay. Yeah, you have every motor defined. That's really intense.
I've been told I'm pretty intense.
Yes, that would make sense
I'm
though.
sometimes, I've been, you're too much, you're extra, you're this, you're
Yes,
that. It's
yes.
like, well, I'm not extra for people who can appreciate me. How you
No,
doing?
no, you have, well, yeah, and then you have so hold on, let me just dust up here. Where's human design here? I'm gonna send it to you right now through email. But you have every motor defined. You have the 2343 channel, which is the channel of freak to genius. And that is when new ideas and innovations come to life, but they have to be shared within the right time frame. Otherwise, you risk to feel not seen, and people are not ready to understand it. And I feel like that has happened before,
Big
right?
time. Yeah.
Yeah, that is so. What is your email? Let me see. What's your email address?
Email address is harnesstheshiftwithj@gmail.com. So I'll just put a shout out. Anybody has any ideas you want to hear about on the podcast, go ahead and email me.
Yeah, I love it. So, guy, yes, but that makes sense though. But you have a defined identity, a defined ego. So it's just consistent energy, but most of the people don't have it. defined. So all of us, I don't have a defined identity or a defined ego. So we struggle with like purpose and stuff like that.
Mhm.
Oh my God, it's such a beautiful chart. All right. So I am going to send this right now. There it is.
Who do you do your charts through?
I use genetic matrix, and then the guide, which is what I gift to people. I gift it through my community from Blueprint Community with Erin Claire Jones.
Yeah.
I love her work. That's how I started in human design. I took a course with her, and then
What's
I've
her
been
name?
with Erin Claire Jones. But I love her, and I love her community, all of my communities. So I have three primary communities that I go to. So it's with Erin, and then I have one with Katie Irvine. She is the founder of HG School, and her website is Sort of Spiritual. And then I am part of the community with Tressa Rivera. She is hypnotherapy and human design, which I absolutely love. I am a big believer in the inner work that we have to do from our past experiences in order to be better for our kids. Those are my three communities that I go to beyond my books. I've been studying human design since 2021, and it's just a tool for me that keeps on giving. It never stops.
Big time.
So
Yeah.
I send it to you. Let me know if you have any
Thank you.
questions. Yeah,
I will.
absolutely.
Thank you. I
My
appreciate
absolute
that.
pleasure. Yes, I absolutely love this work though. Human design is my favorite. So yeah.
Cool. I will definitely let you know if I have any questions. But yeah, I'm going to have to look into that genetic matrix. So you do like that platform?
Yeah, genetic matrix is really good. It helps me. It pulls a chart. It has more information than most people have.
Mm-hmm.
There are other tools, but I want to say people that do human design, I think they go through genetic matrix a lot. There's other tools. If you're looking for another tool, I can share some options, but I like genetic matrix though.
Okay, perfect.
I can they have many different, you can do connection charts here, which is to me, that's how I do my work for family. So I do a connection chart between a parent and a child and find out where there are challenges. It's not that you're having a bad relationship. It's just finding out where the challenges are and to be able to notice that. So that's kind of why I love genetic matrix. Not a lot of platforms will give you the connection charts and a whole bunch of other stuff that I don't even know how to use, like astrology and like SideRail and a whole bunch of stuff. So yes, to me they're pretty awesome. I love genetic matrix.
Okay, so let's give a shout out of your socials again in case anyone wants to work with you with regard to kids and unschooling and also the implementation of the human design in that, because I think you take it to a different level. And
I do.
I think it's unique because it does involve the kiddos. So go ahead and give a shout out again with your socials.
Yeah, you can go to our website, www.theunschoolinglifestyle.com, and you can find us through there. Send us an email there or a voice message. You can leave a voice message there. It's pretty awesome. So that's our podcast website. And yeah, you can just find us there. We're always around. So thank you so much.
I love it. And you're on Spotify, Apple, and do you do YouTube at all?
Yes, we do YouTube. It's also the same handle at theunschoolinglifestyle.com. You will find us. Thank you so much.
Yeah, and as a reminder, folks that are listening, I always put the guest information in the podcast description, so just make sure. And I also remind you in the outro, so anytime you want to get a hold of the guest, it's always there. And then when I post to social media, I also put it in there too. So no, I think it's a very valuable tool, especially with kiddos. So
yes,
thank you so much, Juliet.
Thank you so much.
Excuse me for God. I got a catch in my throat there for a minute.
No, you're okay.
I've been having the last couple of days, I feel like, I don't know if it's the air, what's going on, but I'm like super dry in my throat. So I
resonate with you.
Apologize for that. But Julieta, I appreciate you so much for coming on. It's been such a lovely conversation. And I hope that you have a fabulous time today on your excursions with the kiddos.
Thank you so much, Jay. It was really, really amazing being here. Thank you for the very thoughtful questions. I absolutely love them. Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you so much. thank you, you beautiful souls out there that have tuned in. You don't have to tune in, and I greatly appreciate that you do. And anytime that you can take away wisdom from the folks that come on the podcast is always a good thing. Until next time, keep harnessing the shift. Take care. Bye-bye. Well, that's a wrap. Thank you to our guests today. And if you would like to learn more about their work, all their links will be located in the podcast description. A quick shout out to our sponsor, LifeWave. I am a brand partner. These patches support energy, recovery, and overall wellness. And you can find out more about them under the central link in my bio, the Hoobie link, hoo.b/harness the shift with Jay. All my offerings, including my coaching program when it's released, plus my contact information and social media links are also available there, as well as in the podcast description. Thanks again for listening. I am Jay. I'll see you next episode on Harness the Shift.